ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. Remember, we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. Facebook is Real Talk with Saieed Ali. Like and share. Also on YouTube, it's TT Real Talk. Subscribe, Trinidad and Tobago, hit the bell, and you would know when we go live. So just a little reminder tonight, Trinidad and Tobago Real Talk Financing is offering you 7% on a fixed deposit. Remember viewers, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. This is history in the making in Trinidad and Tobago. We at Real Talk Financing is giving you 7% on a fixed deposit. That is $7,000 per year on $100,000. Nobody else is doing it like Real Talk Financing. Also, very soon, we are going to be expanding in Panama also. We're going to be paying all the bills. The businessman in Trinidad and Tobago who is suffering to get US, trust me, we're going to be paying it for you in Panama very soon. So viewers, remember, I'm a spiritual consultant. Those of you who having spiritual problems, you can also contact me, viewers. Feel free to do so, 339-1670. And let's see how we're taking it from there. So as we start off tonight, Trinidad and Tobago, this is something I wanted to talk about, but I didn't get time. But I will deliver the message anyway. The Minister of Finance, David Jonathanku, is seeking to reassure motorists and vehicle dealers that the importation of mild hybrid vehicle will not attract any additional cost under the existing arrangements. Now, dismissing claims that government has improved new taxes on imported vehicle. Trinidad and Tobago, listen to this.
International factors will have required us as signatories to the agencies. It will have required us to abide by the recommendations of the international group. At this point, the persons who are importing the very same vehicles that were imported before face no change in the cost to them. So if you have vehicles on the sea, if you have imported vehicles, if you have vehicles at the port, etc., you have no cost, no new costs attached to that. I just want to highlight one thing. There's a misconception somewhere in the media or in social media, wherever it came from, that there was an increase in some tax. I mean, I know they like to call me tax, but there was a perception that there was an increase in some tax on vehicles. That is not true. And I think that the release has cleared that up.
So now Trinidad and Tobago. Tanku addressed the concerns over possible increase in vehicle import costs, stressing that no additional charges will apply to vehicles already purchased, currently in transit, or awaiting clearance at local port. Now, he stressed on and he says that there has been a false perception that government increased taxes on vehicles. So Trinidad and Tobago, I ask myself, where did this came from? Who created this perception on saying that new taxes have been increased on the hybrid, on the mild hybrid vehicle? Now, this is what I am accustomed saying to you, Trinidad and Tobago. This is what I am accustomed to saying to you. When you hear something released in the public domain, before it go rampant and before it is out of control, you look at the source, at where it came from. I always say, when you want to find out information, go on the ministry website. Go on the ministry's website and you will get all the information. So who would have created this misconception in the public domain that has everybody wondering, am I going to own a vehicle? The whole of Trinidad and Tobago say now, am I going to own a vehicle? Where did this false narrative came from? Who created these things and placed it in the public domain that would spread like wildfire? And now you want to blame the government now. But were your source correct? Were your source correct on where you got your information from? So this is why I continue to say, when you want to get correct information, go on the ministry website. If it is not there, it is not there. It's simple. It's not everything you would run with and expect, hey, this is true and that is true. No. Not everything you hear in the public domain is true. And I've been saying that from time to time to time. But nevertheless, as we move on with our story tonight, evolving. Is it too long? Evolving Technologies and Enterprise Development Company Limited, ETEC, has confirmed that negotiation between the government and Hilton International Trinidad Limited regarding the future operation of the Hilton Trinidad remains active and are in the final stage, with no decision taken to permanently discontinue the hotel operation. Earlier this year, reports emerged that the Hilton Group was preparing to withdraw its brand from the state-owned property amidst concern over the need for significant capital upgrade at the hotel. ETEC said it understands that Hilton has communicated with employees and the recognized majority union regarding the expiry date of the current lease. They clarified that all persons employed at the Hilton Trinidad and Conference Center are employees of Hilton International Trinidad Limited and not ETEC, adding that Hilton remained responsible for fulfilling its current employment obligations. So this is just to clear the air, Trinidad and Tobago. Hilton International Trinidad Limited is responsible for its workers, and negotiations are still going on, talks are still going on, so we don't want to pass no judgment yet. Even some would say that otherwise. But we just want to leave it right there. Negotiations are taking place. So moving on tonight, Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has defended the government plans to establish 30 joint army and police posts across Trinidad and Tobago, responding to criticism from the opposition. In a statement directed at the PNM, the Prime Minister accused the party and what she described as a local drug mafia of showing little concerns for the safety of law-abiding citizens. She, the PM, urged that the PNM-held constitutions continue to experience the country's highest level of crime and unemployment, along with poor infrastructure and limited opportunities. The Prime Minister also accused the opposition of allowing hatred and racism to prevent cooperation with the security service, even if it would improve the public safety of their own communities. Now, like I said on a previous show, Trinidad and Tobago, and I want you to understand this, when Sunday morning reach and you go into the market, you're not seeing PNM. When you go into the grocery and you're facing the shelves, you're not seeing UNC. And I keep saying this. The political parties in Trinidad and Tobago are there to make sure that our lives are better. They are there to make sure that the utilities we're supposed to have at our fingertips, make sure it is there. And I often say this, a government is there to govern the country, to make our lives better, not to make it worse. When our lives are held on strings, it becomes worse. When a government tells you to wean off the government, which means they are not doing anything for you. So I want you to understand something. Security in the neighborhood is a benefit to the community. A drug pusher in the community is a risky business because you could get your house broken into. You could get your vehicle stolen. We have never had this in Trinidad and Tobago. Police posts around the country. Now I want you to understand something. Fitzgerald Hines was the Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, National Security, for quite some time. Marvin Gonzalez was in the Ministry of Security under PNM for quite some time. Dr. Keith Rowley was the head of the Security Council for quite some time. And ask yourself, where was the security for you when these three men were governed under security in the PNM administration? Ask yourself that. Where was your security? Where was the security for the community? Kamala Prasad Bisesa and her government is trying to bring safety to the citizen in the PNM constituency and the UNC constituency. She's trying to bring safety to the PNM citizen and the UNC citizen. So why are we now, as a people, would go against our own safety in our community? These same safety officers and them, personnel, security officers and them, would look after our homes, would patrol the community to make sure there's no bandit, there's no lurking in the dark, to make sure that, hey, when the neighborhood call up for security, they're right there. You all going against that? How many of you experience home invasion? Whether you're UNC, whether you're PNM, how many of you experience that? And I am definitely sure a lot of PNM members and a lot of UNC members experience home invasion. So I want to ask you all tonight, why is it that we are kicking against security and securing the community so your house and your vehicle could be safe? Why are we going against that? Why? So listen to this. However, her statement did not directly address concerns raised by opposition leader Penelope Beckles, who argued that the proposed initiative resembles aspects of the former Zone of Special Operation policy. So here we have a government. I want you to listen to this carefully. Here we have a government. Forget if it's UNC, forget if it's PNM. Here we have a government trying to bring safety, a safety net to a community, all communities in Trinidad and Tobago. And here we have an individual, a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, who has bodyguards around her, which rest of us don't have. They are kicking against security for your community. Now, when members of this person's party were in government, what sort of security did you have? Look at the reality of what's happening in your community and ask yourself, why is it that this individual is kicking against the safety for your community when her government was in power? Your community had no security. So ask yourself that. Which side are you going to balance yourself on? A safety net on the community? Or you're going to choose somebody who was there for 9 years and didn't consider your safety? This is common sense, Trinidad and Tobago. This is common sense. Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. Who are you going to take? A non-safety zone or a safety zone? So, Trinidad and Tobago, it is that time. We are going for a short commercial break, but stay locked on when we come back. Beckles, the joint police post back door to Zoso. More when we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on a roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
True growth shouldn't make you wait. This month, Real Talk Financing is changing the timeline. Get up to 7% interest on a fixed deposit paid to you upfront. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Real results sooner. Call our Central or South branches today.
Welcome back.
So welcome back, viewers. So we're going straight to the opposition now. Opposition leader Penelope Beckles is now questioning how the government selected the location for the initial 30 Joint Army and Police post. Listen to Penelope.
Let us go back to Parliament a couple months ago when the Prime Minister and members of her government said that it is in PNM areas that the crime is taking place. In the PNM areas, as a matter of fact, I recall they specifically made mention of Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, and Port of Spain South as two of the areas where you have a number of criminal activities, a number of gangs. So here it is, of the 30 areas selected, as far as I know, there are really two places, if I'm not correct, two places that are basically in the supposed area that they claimed had the majority of crime.
Sometimes I just know why Penny just say, well, I have no comment and just stay quiet, you know. I don't know why Penny don't do that sometime, you know. We had a minister when she was in the PNM, when they were governing Trinidad and Tobago. Her colleague, Fitzgerald Hines, told Trinidad and Tobago it is not his job to make them feel safe. Now Penny is asking how they came up with the ideas and the location. So viewers, she argued that if crime were under control, which her government couldn't bring it under control, she's saying to the nation, if crime were under control, there would be no need for what she described as a 4-month plan. The opposition leader further noted that the government stated that crime was on a decrease, and with the state of emergency due to end in September, she believes the latest initiative is but a last-ditch attempt to impact crime. But Penelope, under your administration, crime was rampant. Crime was rampant. All you had to come out and say as a leader of the opposition, this is all you had to come out and say. Well, we are watching to see And we would like to know more about this 4 months plan with this 30 joint army and police post. That is all you had to say. You come on, you want to wonder how they choose the 30 spots? And then you want to blame Zoso? It's a simple thing. If you had nothing to say, just say no comments. We are looking to see what they are coming up with and leave it right there. But you're questioning how they selected these areas. What was all their plan? What was all their plan for 9 years to keep Trinidad and Tobago safe? People couldn't come out of their house. We are looking at a reality situation. We are not looking at a movie in the cinema. Beckles said this was like implementing the Zoso bill that failed in Parliament. Oh God, Penny, for shame's sake, man. If you have nothing to say, just say you have no comment. Trinidad and Tobago, take a look at this.
The Prime Minister and her government came to the public last year and said, listen, we need to have a state of emergencies. There are gangs. We know where the gangs are. They have all these people under PDOs. Then if that is the case, then you know what really is the problem? They need to tell us. So is it that these people are under detention and yet still you are telling the country that you're not able to deal with crime? So don't come boasting and saying we have it under control, and within a week you come to the public and say, listen, the only way we could deal with this situation is we need to have these posts. This to me is implemented the Zoso bill that failed before the Parliament.
So let me deal with this one step at a time. Gangs. Penny says the UNC administration nobody gangs. Faris talked about the gangs 9 years ago. Stuart Young talked about the gangs. Fitzgerald Hines talked about the gangs. Marvin talked about the gangs. Kate Rowley talked about the gangs. And to this date, after 9 years, Earl talked about the gang. Stephen Williams talked about the gang. 9 years up the road, nothing has been done to eliminate the gangs in Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to ask Penny now, if one man goes under a PDO from a gang, what happened to the next 2,000 or 3,000 individuals? I just want to ask Penny that. What is going to happen to the next 2,000 or 3,000 people that are in the gang, allegedly? What's going to happen to them? They're going to sit down and wait for one man to come out? Common sense, Penny. Common sense. Not everybody has it. So Trinidad and Tobago, the opposition is now of the view that the entire country deserves answers and is calling on the Prime Minister to address the nation. Listen to this.
It's about time that the Prime Minister stops governing by tweeting, by Facebook, by Instagram, and that the Prime Minister comes and talks to the public so people could understand exactly how this is going to work. And we have now found ourselves where it's almost 3 months that you haven't had a cabinet press conference. So where is the Minister of Homeland Security? Where is the Minister of Defense? They too should be saying to the public, how did you arrive at this decision? How is it going to work? What is it going to cost you? And is it that at the end of the day, the public can feel safer with this initiative?
Now, Penny, I agree with one thing that you said, that the present Prime Minister needs to come out and address the country more often. That I agree with you. Now, responding to questions on if the government anti-crime plan is another form of the failed Zoso bill, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander rejected claims that this initiative was Zoso in another form. Roger Alexander.
Anti-crime. I don't want to discuss this also. You know, what I'm saying to you is this. In Tunapuna, the way I have structured my approach, it is so long. It is also, as I said before, we are thinking people. You know. We are. So we often find ways to treat the things. We listen to the public, not those who mischieve us and chaos. You know. We're not about that. We listen to members of the public who are seeing things differently, so we can guide them, and we often take ideas from them.
So now viewers, stay on Roger Alexander. Homeland Security Minister have stated that the announcement of the Joint Army and the Police Post initiative is part of the government's broader crime fighting plan. He stated that the goal is to give citizens a greater sense of security, and it's the same thing I said just now. When you have a safety net in the community, people will be safe. But when you don't have a security safety net in the community, how would you be safe? So this is why I say just now, forget the UNC, forget the PNM, think about your community, think about your house, think about your vehicle parking under your house or in front of your house. Think about that. Think about somebody looking over your vehicle 24/7 in the community. Forget political party. Look at your safety. Listen to this video.
Remember, it was said by several persons, and I agreed when they say we didn't have a crime plan. Because of course we didn't have a crime plan. Our plans are all anti-crime. It's about preventing crime. So I agreed with them for that. But as it relates to our anti-crime plan, this is one of the strategies that we're about to use to give the public, give areas, constituencies, highways and byways that sense of safety and security with the presence and visibility of law enforcement officers anywhere you go, and in strategic locations, just in case there's a situation that arises.
So now viewers, in response, even though the minister said that crime was down, he was questioned on why implement police posts and why now. So Trinidad and Tobago is obvious. It is obvious that in some areas of our country, the crime rate is very high. So I'll tell you this thing, I will say this tonight. If you don't put a police post, is why you didn't do it. And if you put a police post, is where you do that for. So I don't understand sometimes. Questions are being asked. Why are you putting this there now? But it's now we are in government. Now we want to secure the community. The administration they had before, they didn't care if your house got broken into. They didn't care if bandits running and rape and shoot and kill. They didn't care. But now you have a change in government. You have people want to safeguard communities, but you're asking why now? Ask Perry why her government didn't put police posts in communities. Ask Marvin Gonzalez. Ask Fitzgerald Hines. Ask Dr. Keith Rowley why you all didn't secure the communities. You know they can't answer that. But what they would say is the win of the government. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, I am not affiliated with no political party. I keep saying that. But what I look at is the reality that is happening around us. That is what I look at. So in response now, this is what Alexander had to say.
If you're an honest worker and you have money in the bank, you want more money in the bank, or you will stop going to the bank because you think you're rich? Which is it? So I like to put them context in place, right? It's about increasing what you already have in order to maintain. So it's not just that, all right, the crime is done and we are right, let's just relax. It's not about that. It's about giving the public that sense of safety and security that was left that was moved away from them for 9 years. I'm bringing it back with purpose and intention.
Caller, good night.
Mr. Saeed showers of praises to you for another great program. And I want to let you know, I talked to several people today. East of Princeton, I went, the Tabland area. I went to the exact area. And they were happy for your program last night. At least they feel good that somebody is listening to them. Somebody is going to help them. And you know that brings some comfort to them. Although nothing is happening. If you see some roads in George Village, where your family originated from, if you see the roads, man, you say, this is Trinidad, and those people, when they listen to your program, it have a couple in particular I spoke to, man, they religiously look at your program, and praises to you from these people. Great program, and they love your program very much. Anyway, now with this security, 30 posts and 35 homes they're going to place all over the country, fine, you know. But when you talk to people in the country, and you talk to sensible people who in national security, and who was part of this national security and so on, and you're seeing you haven't cleaned up the police service. So now you are saying, I'm going to put this, you know, they're going to employ 2,341 more police officers. Last year, look how much SRP they brought in and make them regular. So now they are going to employ 2,441 police officers. You know what is the statistics for 100,000 citizens in any country? With the ratio of police to the citizens, to every 100,000 citizens of a country, it is international statistics, 150 police officers. That is to 100,000 to 150,000 citizens. 150 to 200 police officers. So when you look at our situation, you see the police service is heavyweight. They're carrying dead weight all around. So this, you could clearly say, boy, Roger Alexander's intention is to make the police service the biggest URP gang in the country. And the defense force is the two biggest URP gang in the country. And when you analyze it and look at it, you have done that, Mr. Said, but you want to hear it from intelligent people.
Yes.
So I know you analyze that already. So you look at it, you say, boy, we're in bad shape. This is about employment. Bringing the people and putting them there. And if we see 50%, we see a reflection of the national anthem, every creed and race, find an equal place. We say, fine, employ them too. Put them in the gang, the URP gang. So when you look at it, we in a bad state in this country. And Roger Alexander, you have to explain more to the citizens, because this could be gimmickry. They established, the Prime Minister don't establish themselves as a bunch of gimmickry people. Today they have not proven themselves to have any bit of credibility, so the citizens could have confidence and say, boy, we see something positive happening. Nothing of the sort happened today. It's only lies, and deception. So you know, this is what they have to pay attention to. Mr. Said, and one thing I want to highlight here, Roger Alexander, cybercrime, the Telecommunication Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. If the citizens make a call on phone, you want to arrest them. When you go to the station to make a report, they treat you as a criminal instead, and cybercrime don't have time. So that is the government agency.
Correct.
I'm asking today cybercrime and Telecommunication Authority to pay attention to a platform called Trini Crime reporters or something like that, is it? Pay attention to that and tell me if they have a license to operate what they're doing. It's only criminal activity, the threatening people and all kind of thing on the website. So the authority, pay attention to that side for me, please. Mr. Said, God will richly bless you for having a program like this to make this country a better place. God bless you and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. So, viewers, meanwhile, Deputy Commissioner of Police Junior Benjamin says the country should give the initiative a chance. Now, this is coming from Benjamin. Listen to him.
It's about putting it in the areas where we see the real hotspot areas, so that the response time could be more effective. So we have to look at it holistically. And before we even try to, condemn it, we need to work it and see, how it could be implemented. And I think that once it is done well, it could only be a greater asset to the citizens, because people would want to know that there are officers close by so that they can make a report or even respond quickly to a situation in a more timely basis.
So viewers, I want to say this before we go on the break. Benjamin also said the initiative was developed to help crime detection and prevention. Now before we go to this video, I want to ask you a simple question, a reality-based question. Were you safe for the last 9 years? Were you safe in your community for the last 9 years? Now, there were communities that were riddled with home invasion and no security, police or army patrolling. And you had to deal with it. There were many who were raped. There were many who were beaten. There were many who were robbed. Some got shot to death. Were there security for the last 9 years? Did the last administration made an attempt to keep your community safe? Or do we enjoy hearing the words, "It is not my job to make you feel safe"? Trying to make you listen to this.
We are going to go back to the basics. And the basic is about crime prevention, crime suppression, crime detection, and at the end, crime conviction. And that is what we're going to be using to ensure that we, have a holistic approach. And what we're doing is bringing the police closer to the community so that there can be faster response and greater access, you understand, and the availability of the police to the community.
So viewers, he also said that this plan is a knee-jerk reaction to crime with a cosmetic appeal. Now, if they shoot a man with a gun, there will be a reaction. There will be a reaction. So because of the crime in the community, there's a reaction now from the government that they're going to send police and joint army patrol in the community. So that was the action or the reaction of the action that took place with the crime. Many of you wouldn't understand that. But viewers, I want you to listen to this one more time before we go to the break.
A police post does nothing other than be cosmetic, but this is the typical avenue used by politicians to cut ribbons and to fool the country into believing this is the avenue to reduce crime. It does not. It makes it worse. It is going to increase costs. It is going to increase overtime, and it is not in any way going to be used as a deterrent, because the criminal element knows that you stay in the police post, my job is to be in a vehicle and get in and get out. Yet again, bad decisions being made because of bad advice being given to the Prime Minister.
So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break. Stay locked on. More news when we return.
We'll be right back.
When life throws you a curveball and you need a clear path forward, trust Real Talk Wrecking Service to get you back on track. Whether you're stuck on the roadside or dealing with an unexpected breakdown, our 24/7 wrecking service is just one call away. Fast response, reliable towing, and a team that's got your back. At Real Talk Wrecking Service, we don't just tow, we rescue. Real Talk Wrecking Service, your lifeline on the road to recovery.
True growth shouldn't make you wait. This month, Real Talk Financing is changing the timeline. Get up to 7% interest on a fixed deposit paid to you upfront. Real Talk Financing and Investment. Real results sooner. Call our Central or South branches today.
Connect with us on social media and don't miss the latest updates. Follow us on Instagram at RealTalk_Newsroom. Check us out on Facebook at Real Talk with Saieed Ali. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Real Talk Trinidad and TikTok at Real Talk with Saieed Ali. At Real Talk Studios, we dedicate our time to highlight the glaring issues we face within our community. Catch us live every Wednesday between 7 to 8 p.m. Real Public Concerns. Because your concerns are meant to be heard. Send your email to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com.
Welcome back.
Roger Alexander have stated that the government plans to tap what he described as the largest labor force in the nation by deploying prison inmates sentenced to hard labor to help maintain public space while the replacement of CPEP is rolled out. Alexander said convicted prisoners will be brought out to assist with cleaning communities, cutting grass, and maintaining public areas. Trinidad and Tobago, I hear this.
We are going to reintroduce where persons who have been charged and convicted by a court and is sentenced to hard labor, we are going to reintroduce those persons to come back out in the streets and help with the cleanup process.
So viewers, my question is, when you take a convict who have been sentenced to hard labor for committing an act that got him into prison for a number of years, my thing is, when you take these convicts and you put them on the streets to cut grass and maintain public space, who is going to look after these convicts? You want to put police in police posts throughout Trinidad and Tobago to keep the community safe. We understand that. I am looking at it as security net for the community. We're giving it a try. But when I heard Roger said this, I was like, really? You bring in convicts who were free outside here to roam Trinidad and Tobago. You was roaming the country freely without anybody having to, a former speaking like this, of anybody having to have a gun over your head. You were walking the road freely day and night, but you decided now to commit an act. And the courts sentenced you for a number of years with hard labor. Now Roger wants to bring these convicted individuals out in the streets. Who is going to look after these people? Ask yourself that. They were free at one point in time. They were free to roam the roads day and night. But now you get caught up in an act that you committed and you're behind bars. And now he wants to bring you back into the public. To what? To reintegrate you again? Trinidad and Tobago, if this man end up in Ward 1, he is far from reaching there. Take what I'm telling all you. You were free on the road. Liming, drinking, partying, working. But you decide to commit an act. And the court found you guilty. You have been sentenced to serve your time until you come back out into the public domain again. Roger better know what he's doing because we shut up a police real bad in this country. Now, the minister further explained how the plan will work. Let's hear his plan.
How it will work? If you are convicted and 12 months or 2 years hard labor, you know what is hard labor in the jail right now? A man smoking, a man is on his phone, internet, and all these things. That's not hard labor. And if someone is smart and is on the inside, he could use that process to start to reintegrate himself back into the public. Let the public see, listen, that fella out there is hardworking. And it is happening right now to some people. So that's what we intend to reintroduce. We have the biggest, one of the largest labor force at the nation's prisons, and we really don't utilize them properly.
And to be honest with you, it's the most silliest plan I ever heard. The most silly. You want to integrate them back into society. What you going and tell them? Some of them are seasoned criminals, have been to prison more than once. There's a reason why they are there than outside here in the free world. Call a good night.
Good night, Mr. Saieed, boy. Good night, good night. Good show as usual, man. Mr. Saieed, yes. Mr. Saieed, yes, we have a prime minister that is trying, according to you, to see about our security system where the citizens of this country is concerned. Yes, you put in 30 security, 30 police forces in various places in this country. Yes, the post that you're putting is a billion. What is the integrity of the army men and the policemen that you're putting in these forces? Nothing is going to happen, sir. I am going to tell you something on your TV, on your show today, that everybody in this country knows. That crime in this country reached so far and so big and such a big money-making thing, that is the people who have the money and the people who have the position is who running crime in this country. And I am saying that if we don't check the integrity of these policemen and these army men, they are the same citizens that living in this country that you're going to put there. And I am saying that they're all involved. Only 10% of the police force in this country and the army force is not involved in wrongdoing. Very little, very little. And to give you an example and to show you how they're only trying to fool the citizens of this country, I'm going to tell you one thing on this show. Let Mr. Alexander come out to the public and tell this country how he know Mr. Fishy from Lavanti after the triple murder. How come all of a sudden he know him? How come he didn't tell in the public of Santabago that he had known him before? How come he know him now after the triple murder? This thing is filling up in mud. Madam Prime Minister, you playing with the same mosquitoes that are going to fly and bite you. They bite you already, Madam Prime Minister, and they're going to bite you again. I am telling you that. As a citizen that's standing by of this country and looking on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my friend. So now, viewers, defending the prison labor proposal, he said it will also help reintegrate inmates. What you going to reintegrate a man? What? We had individuals who did 10 years and came out and committed a crime and went back again. How are you going to integrate him back into society when he accustomed robbing, when he accustomed with the prison life, when he accustomed stealing? What you going to reintegrate? You have to understand. Some of them are by their choices they are made. They are there. Their choices. Alexander also acknowledged the maintenance backlogs, saying CPEP would not return until legal matters have been resolved. So hear this now. Hard labor farmer. What is hard labor? What is hard labor? So I understand what Alexander is trying to do. I understand that. But what you have to look at is who is going to look after these sentenced individual who you want to bring back to clean public space. Who are going to look after them? They are going to be in the open. How many police are going to be looking at these individuals? How much communities you plan to carry these individuals in? I understand it's labor. I understand what you're trying to do. But there's a bigger picture behind it. They were inside here for a reason. They were sentenced for a reason. So that is what you have to ask yourself. The security behind those criminals you want to bring back in society to work as what? Free labor. That is what you have to find out. But imagine we have 6,000 police force. 6,000 as our police force. How much remaining in the station? How much in schools? How much in the communities? And how much to look after criminals that cutting grass by the roadside? How much? This has a lot of planning in it. A lot. I just want to remind you that these men were once walking the road freely and by choice. By choice. They are where they are tonight. Trying to go. With fabric? So here is, viewers, in other news, economist Dr. Marlene Nates is warning that Trinidad and Tobago's latest unemployment figures represent more than just statistics, saying thousands of households are now facing increased financial pressure. Nates says the impact of about 6,000 job loss recorded between January and March this year, according to data from Central Statistical Office, extended far beyond those who became unemployed. She noted that the latest job loss statistics came after over 5,000 workers were affected by the closure of several government programs last year, adding to pressure on livelihood. She also pointed to the closure of Nutrient and the surrounding Methadox operation and announcement involving Nestles and other business closure as signs of broader economic challenges. Trinidad and Tobago, this is a reality we live in, eh? So listen to this.
The real impact of these job losses is felt around the kitchen table, and it comes down to whether families can afford groceries, whether they can pay the mortgage or in many cases the rent, or whether they can purchase medication or have the financial wherewithal to put a healthy meal on the table. We have to look at them together and see them as some signs of the economic health of Trinidad and Tobago and a reflection of some of the broader economic challenges facing the country.
So now, viewers, Dr. Ronald Ramkissoon, who's also an economist, stated that while the latest labor force report contains some positive indicators, the figure should be interpreted carefully. He also cautioned against assuming that growth in the energy sector will automatically generate jobs. It don't always do that because not much of us are skilled individuals. We have to understand that also. So viewers, listen to this.
We don't take one quarter or one data and make a lot out of it, because of course the data, as the year progresses and as we get more recent data, can change, either increasing the unemployment rate or decreasing that rate. If the emphasis and the hope is pinned on the energy sector, we must be aware that the energy sector is not a high employment area. It is capital intensive, which means it is more capital and less employment.
So viewers, Minister of Planning Dr. Kennedy Saratan Singh have stated that nearly 6,000 job loss during the first 3 months of 2026 should not be viewed in isolation. He urged that the decline reflects a recurring post-Christmas employment pattern and does not by itself signal a weak labor market. Saratan Singh said employment actually increased by approximately 5,100 people, moving from 558,900 in the first quarter of 2025 to 564,000 in the first quarter of this year. He cautioned that comparing the final quarter of one year with the opening quarter of the next without accounting for seasonal employment could give an incomplete assessment of the labor market. So now Trinidad and Tobago. So during the Christmas time last year, we would have had, let's say, 5,000 employed. And after Christmas into Carnival, let's just say the employment would drop and about 2,000 would be sent home. And then coming along now, a little after Carnival, another 2,000 sent home. So while these 4,000 are being sent home from stores, let's class it as that, stores and groceries, what about in other departments of growth? What about companies? What about who decided to be self-employed? What about those people? Because if you're employed for the Christmas time, a vast amount of people that's being employed from November, December. And by the time the end of February, they're laid off. March to April, the rest of Jejecon, they are laid off. I could tell you, I'm in the financial sector. I could tell you how it works. We have clothing store, we have groceries, and this is how it goes. So for the last quarter of 2024, 10,000 people would be employed. By the first quarter of 2025, 5,000 people might have lost their employment. Seasonal is what you call it. So the 5,000 now that going along, some of them would actually go into what they learned in the store. Some would get hired by a bakery. You know what? I feel I could go into this baking thing, you know. So when you get laid off from the bakery now, you decided to do baking. And you open an online store, as we see have been promoting recently. So Trinidad and Tobago, there's a lot I could explain, but time is limited. So tonight I must say good night. Thanks for viewing. Spread the word, Real Talk. Also, a rerun of this program is tomorrow, 11 to 12:30. We'll be right back here another night. Until then, Trinidad and Tobago, be safe.